Hello. Today, I'll cover two topics. First, continuing from last week, our national debt. Second, the history and definitions of school mass shootings. While the headlines are often filled with daily political back and forth, something very important just happened. I want you to please watch Jerome Powell talk about the deficit from just a few days ago. Speaking at Harvard, the Fed chairman dropped a sobering assessment of our national $39 trillion debt. Powell's message was direct. While the current debt level is manageable, the path we're on is absolutely unsustainable. He warned that the federal debt is growing substantially faster than our economy. In his own words, it will not end well if we don't do something fairly soon. I'll add the link to the Harvard talk in the description below. I'll also add, and many of you already aware of these sites, but just in case, the US Treasury Fiscal data site and the US debt clock so you can track these numbers in real time. When the math stops working at the federal level, it affects every aspect of our lives, including the funding and resources available for the safety of our most vulnerable citizens. To start this second conversation, we need a baseline. How do we actually define a school mass shooting? It depends on who you ask. First, the federal standard defines a mass killing as 3 or more people killed in one incident. Second, the FBI historically looks for 4 or more. Third, groups like the K-12 school shooting database use a much broader lens. Anytime a gun is brandished or fired on school property, regardless of injury. Our talk today, we are focusing on those targeted mass incidents. For historical context, we look at the first and the last mass school shooting. Most people think this is a new crisis, but the first recorded incident was the Enoch Brown massacre in 1764, where a schoolmaster and 10 children were killed. The most recent high-profile tragedy occurred just days ago, on March 30th, 2026, at Hill Country College Prep in Texas. From 1764 to 2026, the setting is the same, but the scale and frequency have shifted dramatically. That brings us to the total number of casualties. Since the modern era began with the UT Tower shooting in 1966, over 1,700 people have been killed in mass public shootings. In schools, specifically, names like Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, and Robb Elementary represent hundreds of lives lost. In just the first 3 months of 2026, we already have seen nearly 40 incidents of gunfire on school grounds. Finally, what are we doing to stop it? The first major laws were the Gun-Free School Zone Act of 1990 and the 1994 Act that mandated expulsions. More recently, the bipartisan Safer Communities Act of 2022 opened the door for red flag laws. Right now, in 2026, the national debate is on the Federal Extreme Risk Protection Order Act, while states like Tennessee are taking a different route for mandating firearm safety training in classrooms. Whether it's the fiscal insolvency Jerome Powell warned us about it at Harvard, or the ongoing safety crisis in our classrooms, we are at a tipping point today. If the money is running out and the laws aren't stopping the violence, we have to look for new resolutions. I'm inviting subject matter experts and those impacted by these tragedies to join the discussion. Skip the noise of the comments and reach out directly. Keeping track, tony@gmail.com. I want to hear the facts, your personal experiences, and the data that can move us forward. Thank you for joining the podcast today. Check out the links in the description for the Treasury data and the Powell talk. And I'll see you next Wednesday as I'll be sharing more insight about school mass shootings. Take care.